Should be just another beautiful spring day at the White House, but that's not what happened. Now the Pentagon has security called. Members escorted out. The DOJ preps for retaliation. And Dan Bongino, now with the FBI, drops a cryptic message that is just a portion of the story I'm going to bring you here in just 1 minute.
Since I took the oath of office, the spirit of our military has soared to new heights. Today, I'm proud to announce that in February, the U.S. Navy had its best recruiting numbers since 2002. That's a long time ago. And under my administration, the Navy is on track to have the best recruiting year since the start of the war and the war on terror.
How many times can this man keep winning, but yet the resistance keeps bolstering? I would expect nothing less. They have long since shown that the last concern in their minds is we the people. Trump has continued to prove day after day his paramount concern is we the people. Hence his number one slogan, right? Make America Great Again. Should be simple. By actions like this, presidential action announced yesterday, preventing illegal aliens from obtaining Social Security Act benefits. I've read mainstream headline after mainstream headline, and frankly, I just can't consume it anymore. If this isn't black and white to you, then this probably ain't the right home for you. Because to me, this should have been done long ago. I like my tax dollars remaining in my pocket rather than being given out to things that are simply against the Constitution of the United States of America. Very black and white concept. Amazing how it just drives people insane. No more major headline stories. Dan Bongino's cryptic message. Pentagon security being sent in. Trump traumatizing everyone in D.C. But the trauma has always been against Trump, and we're not going to forget that here. But we got several things to put a smile on my face yesterday. Associated Press, IRS agent who investigated Hunter Biden expected to be named IRS acting chief. Who is that? Come on, you all know who that is. A whistleblower. An IRS whistleblower testified publicly about investigations into Hunter Biden's taxes is expected to be promoted to IRS acting commissioner. Two sources familiar with the plan told the Associated Press. Gary Shapley, an IRS employee who testified to Congress as Republicans reviewed the business dealings of Joe Biden's son. Oh, so much of that still coming out. We're going to be covering it. I just did a partial broadcast over Restricted Republic on this. I'm going to take a quick break here. I have a few favors to ask of you. First, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I certainly hope you will. I know thousands of you have over the last 7 days, and I thank you for that. Those of you joined as members here, thank you. Those of you who have provided super thanks, thank you. This is helping the channel to grow as more and more people are now able to see and understand the message we deliver on this broadcast. But without folks like you and without sponsors like Noble Gold Investments, I want you to go to JustusKnightGold.com. I want you to do that today. You'll see there's a phone number also on the screen. Feel free to call it and just tell them Justus Knight sent you, whichever is best for you, because Noble Gold Investments has a market update. Gold is up 46% a year, doubling NASDAQ and S&P 500 gains. But this isn't, again, just another rally. Global reserves are shifting as investors rush to secure physical gold, creating a massive supply gap. Gold is vanishing from the market. But you still have a chance. Visit JustusKnightGold.com today and turn all this panic into your profit. Make a qualified investment, and Noble Gold gives you this beautiful 1/10 ounce gold American Eagle coin. Again, for new qualified accounts, gold IRA or cash purchases. Again, that website is JustusKnightGold.com. Remember, there is always a risk to investing. No guarantees. But if anyone can see you through, it's Noble Gold Investments, the sponsor of this video. And I want you to go to JustusKnightGold.com right now. Said he was retaliated against for cooperating in the investigation. In March, Shapley was promoted to Deputy Chief of IRS Criminal Investigations and another IRS whistleblower investigator who testified in the Biden tax scandal. Joseph Ziegler was assigned to the Treasury Secretary's office as a senior advisor for IRS reform. Now, I love what Trump's doing here. He's taking those that have proven loyalty and putting him into positions that he needs loyalists. Now, that traumatizes D.C., just a portion of what he's doing, simply for putting the shoe on the proverbial other foot. And I hope that foot ends up in the proverbial rear ends of many, many people. Now, the tax collection agency is planning to name Shapley to one of the highest ranking roles at the agency in an interim role. As former Missouri congressman, Billy Long awaits a confirmation hearing to lead the agency permanently, but that doesn't mean that Shapley won't remain in a position of authority. I love that they get people in there first, organize what's going on, investigate what's going on, so when the final role is filled, we're not wasting any time. And Trump is not wasting any time. If you've noticed, for those of you that say nothing will ever happen, well, the ball is suddenly picking up speed as it's rolling downhill, and it's rolling down quickly. So who is Shapley replacing? Well, Melanie Krause. You remember she resigned for her role because she didn't want to give over the tax data of the immigrant crisis that's going on. Well, she's out. Shapley's in. And we have another Trump loyalist in their seat. I know you're not supposed to want that. Well, right now I do want it. I'm going to explain why here as it gets to the bigger stories, because loyalty is critical if we want the agenda and mandate for change that we gave to President Trump to actually be followed through on. We saw that in his first term, so many people working to disrupt that agenda. So we covered the story a little bit yesterday. Albuquerque man charged in connection with arson attacks on Tesla dealerships, a Republican Party of the New Mexico office. Jameson Wagner is the accused, 40 years old. You remember this guy. Well, now we're playing for keeps because Pam Bondi announces a 40-year desired sentence. And if you don't do things like that, attitudes won't change. And if you've noticed lately, the Democrats are drumming up and not in a good way. Marjorie Taylor Greene just yesterday had to tase a protester. Protests happening across the country. And we warned you that will increase because who is the party that has demonstrated the most destruction and violence? I want you to put it in the comments. I want to see what your opinion on that is. Really, there's only one answer to that question, but I'll let you answer it. Now, everything's not rosy. No, Pete Hegseth has an issue on his hands. Security sent to the Pentagon to escort individuals out. Dan Caldwell being the first put on leave in the Pentagon leak scandal. That Dan Caldwell there. But he wasn't the only one. No, some people you may not be familiar with. 2 top Pentagon officials taken out, put on leave in the leak probe. Trump had issues with this in his first term. It's happening again. So Politico reporting the disclosures under investigation include Elon Musk's visit to the Pentagon. What exactly happened here? Dan Caldwell, a senior advisor to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was escorted out of the Pentagon by security officers and had his building access suspended pending further investigation, said 2 of the officials who were granted anonymity to discuss an ongoing probe. Darren Selnick, the Pentagon's deputy chief of staff, was also suspended as part of the same probe and escorted out of the building, according to one official. The leaks under investigation include military operational plans for the Panama Canal leaked out, a second carrier that was headed to the Red Sea, information leaked out, Elon Musk's controversial visit to the Pentagon leaked out, and pausing the collection of intelligence to Ukraine also leaked out. And my friends, you have a problem. No matter what you believe in the administration or not, that is an issue. Remember also Dan Caldwell was included in the Mike Walls Houthi chat of Signalgate. Interesting to see how this all ties together in the end. Maybe those lie detectors, well, they're coming in handy now, aren't they? Some things negative, some things positive. Letitia James, oh, you know everything she did against Trump, huh? Well, now charges are being filed. Criminal referral, to be more specific, from Pam Bondi's office, pursuant to my authority. What did she do? Well, she's claiming mortgage fraud. She claimed that a residence was her primary residence when it wasn't, to get more favorable bank status. And they have the receipts to prove it. You see it right there. A single family dwelling, but it turns out it was a 5-family dwelling in which Letitia James never lived, although she classified it as her primary residence. So now, wow, Letitia, the shoe is on the other foot now, isn't it? Wonder how this is going to turn out for you. And you're only going to feel a fraction of what you did to President Trump. Some people will call that retaliation. I call it justice. Plain and simple. If you did something wrong, well, Trump and his team are going to find it. Because Trump just traumatized the establishment. Washington Post, publishing on this, shocks the world with surprise addition to his team. Now, it should be no surprise. The article here, with many career lawyers gone, Justice Department hires Trump loyalists for court. I'm going to define this argument because it is the centrifuge of this broadcast, because when I read the title, I went insane. I'm going to explain why, and you will too. Because so much of what's happening in the Trump political process right now and wranglings is legal. So if you're not going to fight in that playground, you're going to lose. And Trump's not going to stand back, and Bondi is not going to stand back. She impresses me more and more every day, but we have to exercise, and I have to exercise, a little patience. Because what do I always say? Until arrests, handcuffs, and criminal charges are filed and eventually found guilty, I don't believe anything's going to happen. And I got to temper that response sometimes, because this stuff doesn't happen overnight. The legal system is a very slow system. And to get proper investigations, you have to vet out the information. So how is Trump doing this? The Justice Department is building a roster of lawyers willing to defend in court the most controversial parts of President Donald Trump's agenda. Firing career attorneys who worked against Donald J. Trump, whom leaders view as standing in their way, and hiring dozens of political appointees to carry out the president's agenda. Okay. Some have, oh, this is so bad, prestigious conservative credentials. How dare they? Seeing that most of the courts that we've dealt with and been reporting on, and judges, well, they have non-conservative credentials. But I guess it's not okay, again, when the proverbial shoe is on the other foot. Clerking for Supreme Court justices and top federal judges, according to a review of the new hires' professional bios posted on LinkedIn. Others are fresh out of law school, taking on, that statement right there is one that got me hostile, because if you remember me covering the Washington, D.C. Circuit Court, and I'm going to give you that information again here, you'll realize how hypocritical that statement is. Fresh out of law school, taking on influential positions. Many honed their legal skills working for conservative state attorney generals during the Biden administration. Okay. Their hiring reflect the Trump, if you're going to be thrown in court limitlessly and endlessly, and we've seen that time and time again, man, you better have a lot of energy. And so they're hiring some fresh out of law school folks who are willing to put in the time. I don't view that as a negative thing. I view it as a necessary thing. Their hiring reflect the Trump administration's broad attempt across the executive branch to weaken the power of career staffers, a.k.a., what do we call them? Come on, put it in the comments. The D.C. establishment, the deep state, goes by a million names, the swamp, keep going. Of course he wants to defuse that, because if he doesn't, nothing will change. His efforts will be crippled. Weakening the power of career staffers and build a workforce in the president's ideological mode. According to a review of public statements and executive orders, and interviews with current and former Justice Department officials who, like some other interviewed for this article, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss personnel decisions. It should alarm, except for, this guy. It should alarm all Americans that the leadership of the Department of Justice appears to value political loyalty above the fair and responsible administration of justice. 2 words. Merrick Garland. Fair and responsible, non-political loyalty. What do you feel about that? Because that is the biggest single hypocritical statement I've read in recent history. So let me remind you of a few things. The cases against Trump, a guide, 34 felony convictions. That wasn't political. No, that was fair and even-handed justice. Seriously, does anyone in America believe that anymore? Only if they read mainstream media headlines, of course. Litigation tracker, legal challenges to Trump's administrative actions. This isn't partisan, folks. Come on, this is fair and even justice. It's being now put down by these judges. Let's just start walking through the list, shall we? If you guys want to go get a cup of coffee or some popcorn or maybe some breakfast, heck, you may have time to go and fill up your car and come back, and I'll probably still be going through this list, because if we just look down real quick, we're, well, not even close. But that's fair and nonpartisan litigation, I guess, huh? Oh no, we're not done. I haven't even trickled past an eighth of the screen yet. So what's Trump going to do? Just sit back and take this? Not do anything about it? Or is he going to hire a fresh legal team and replace those that uprooted him last time and those who worked against him under the prior administration? That's what I'd be doing. I like loyalty. I don't know about you. I don't view loyalty as a bad thing. The Democrats didn't view loyalty as a bad thing either when they were in office, but now they're not in office, and now suddenly loyalty is a bad thing. Our federal judges waging an anti-Trump resistance. That's on New York Magazine. Common sense would tell you it kind of appears so. I know common sense is the lost thing nowadays. Let me stand 6 feet away from somebody in front of me, and I'm going to be safe. Common sense is a lost art. Of those 64 original Trump-era injunctions, 59 came from judges appointed by Democrats, but it wasn't partisan. I know facts hurt. Facts hurt so many minds out there right now, not yours. Before you start howling or cheering, consider that all 14 Biden-era injunctions were issued by Republican-appointed judges. Are we saying that the court system in general is partisan? Or are we stating that what Biden did was actually should have been litigated? But everything Trump is doing should be litigated? Well, if you watch what he's doing, you'd realize that it's in line with the Constitution. So I take exception to that comment put into the article. But what would we expect? It's the Independent, right? So let's move forward into facts. Because the Washington Post, just going through Trump trauma, as Trump is simply trying to get his agenda, the agenda that we the people voted him in to put through these, what some are deeming very partisan judges. So we should look at the judges, because if you're going to claim this new legal team is traumatizing you so badly because they're loyal to Trump, well, then you should probably look in a mirror, right? Oh, they're inexperienced too, I think you stated. Well, what's worse? Inexperience, or a third of those judges of all of the D.C. court that serves under Boasberg? We've done this before, but it's important to keep this in mind when you're seeing this legal wrangling happen. We're not born in the United States. A third of them not born in the United States. What's worse is you just criticize this legal team for being rookies, basically. But I go through your list, and I realize that several of you have no experience as a judge whatsoever. Tanya Chutkin, we all know, right? Born in Kingston, Jamaica. Before sitting on the federal court, she had no experience as a judge, but I guess that's okay, right? That's okay in your book. Or Judge Amit Mehta. You recognize these names. Born in India. Has no judicial experience. Mehta also had no previous experience as a judge. I'm sorry, again, facts can be difficult for some people. Or Judge Anna Reyes, also with no prior experience as a judge. I hope that demonstrates to you, in very simple black and white terms, the arrogance, ignorance, and hypocrisy of what is being reported out there. But there's no partisan effort. They're not trying to stifle or cripple Trump's agenda, the agenda that we gave him, we the people voted him in to do. Well, until you hear the Democrats say the quiet part out loud.
Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop.
Yeah, I think you're on record now. I think that goes to concisely tell you what Trump is doing and why he's doing it. It does for me. I know. I hope you replay these broadcasts for your friends just to define to them how simplistic it actually is in so many means when you actually just dig and find out everything they're saying out loud and why Trump is trying to counterbalance it. Now, this concerning some. I don't agree with what was positioned. Dan Bongino, as you know, as a patriot, gives up a mega career. Temporarily, maybe. It's going to be hard to re-achieve that audience, but nonetheless, he does it. Dan Bongino wants you to know he's working really hard. Seriously, he is. Bulwark put this out. Many publications put that out. Hey, where's Dan? Is he taking a vacation? Is he just not doing anything? Did he just want to get away from the show so he got a nice paycheck out of the government and he's just sitting back in D.C. sunning himself? Do you really believe that for a moment? If you've ever listened to him, you'll realize the true patriot he is. But Dan Bongino has to reply. Did it as good as he can. I'm going to go full screen here because there was something in the end that was a little concerning. In the best interest of openness and transparency, I'll be posting regular information updates on this account. The director, and I are working through many of the transparency issues. We are focusing on getting this done the right way and as quickly and efficiently as possible. Many of these cases involve victims, both young and old. We will not allow to be re-victimized by rushed and sloppy efforts. In other words, in the vein of transparency, you got to make sure the victims are protected because the mainstream media would love nothing more than you to launch an investigation, accidentally forget to redact one of the victims' names, and then the left comes sweeping in. And we've seen what they've done in City Hall meetings now. These investigations take time. Thanks to Dan Bongino, thanks to others for even reminding me to have a bit of patience. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching for results. I always judge everything on results, not talking points. He goes on. We are engaged with all of our personnel on transparency, while simultaneously dealing with a number of serious threats to the homeland, our children, our economy, and our infrastructure. We absolutely cannot afford to miss any threats in those spaces. And by disclosing an investigation, you could expose your investigation, obviously, and simultaneously allow another threat to realize what you're doing and escape. Multitasking isn't an option here. I am well aware of some of the early concerns expressed on social media about the speed of change. I understand. But I'll state it again. If you think I upended my prior job and lifestyle to take a vacation in the FBI, then I can't help you. You've already decided, despite logic and reason, that all is lost. And I've heard this, folks, on my own broadcast time and time again. People truly have lost faith. They've lost hope. At times, sometimes I've lost faith. But it's statements like this that refresh your memory that patience is a virtue. Time will tell. Results matter. Rushed investigations open up Pandora's box. He finishes. Because you don't see things happening in live time doesn't mean change isn't happening. Not even close. You will see results. Now here's the part that I think people on both sides of the aisle now need to be concerned about. Because if you listen to Dan, you know how he speaks, and he speaks a lot like I do in some ways. We have a message, and when that message can't be given directly, we have a means to give it indirectly, to really pound through the message to those who understand what we mean. And Dan does it here. You will see results, and not every result will please everyone, but you will absolutely see results. Just watch. In other words, these investigations are going to be painful for the DC establishment, and that does not see one side of the aisle or the other. It is blind to that. And I truly believe that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Bondi all have the same methodology. All they want to do is clean up the corruption. God bless America and all those who defend her. Dan just gave us all a very cryptic message, but a reminder that patience is a virtue. The legal system does not move quickly, and these investigations cannot be rushed, because if they are, the tragedy that could ensue for those innocent victims could be catastrophic. So I wanted to leave you with that today, because as these things develop, we'll continue to cover them and always have that air of patience and caution. But results must happen. I love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here today. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.